Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Half Hour. And I'm really happy today because I get to bring to you one of my friends, colleagues, and peers in the coaching and high performance industry, Amber Houghton. Amber, welcome to the show.
So excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I've been like counting down the days until I got to interview you. But let me tell the audience a little bit about you. So, Amber, she's going to tell you more about her backstory, but currently, Amber is a leadership expert and specializes in high performance strategy. And she does so because she has quite the impressive background and has been one to reinvent herself. So, as we talk about Amber and the things that she's gone through, I hope that it inspires you in your journey just to keep growing and keep evolving. And we spoke about in our pre interview pivoting. So you might hear the word Amber. Let me ask the first question.
Okay.
So today you're showing up as a leadership expert, high performance strategist. I know you've worked with like football teams, so athletes, retirees from the military to, but I would love to turn it to you and, can you tell me and the audience a little bit about your background and why you're passionate about doing what you're doing today?
Absolutely. So, wow, I was a very troubled teenager and I had some challenges with authority. And I eventually ended up
That is
just,
not surprising. I mean, I did too, but I'm like, okay.
yes, yep. So I started off on my own at 15 and a half. My mom
Wow.
was, we were not compatible at that age. I was not compatible with her. She was not compatible with me. So I just moved out on my own, had a really rough go of it. Dad wasn't around to be able to help me. That was his choice. And it taught me a lot of things. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm actually very grateful and thankful for this upbringing, these challenges, or else I wouldn't be who I am today. But around the time that I was 17 and fixing to graduate from high school, my brother told me about the Air Force, and he was like, "Amber, it's great. They feed you, they clothe you, they provide a roof over your head, and they pay you money." And I said, "That sounds glorious." As I'm bouncing from home to home trying to figure out my life, let me go talk to a recruiter. And so that was the beginning for me of a 28-year journey within the Air Force, where I started off at the very basic, airman basic, and I worked my way through all the way to Chief Master Sergeant, which is an E9 and the top 1% in the Air Force on the enlisted side in a very heavily male dominated career field.
I was just going to say, yes.
We built bombs and missiles and anything that went boom. More often than not, I was the only female. That was also had its challenges and it also had its bonuses, right? I think it has both sides of the coin there. From there, I retired in 2023 and I made the decision to be more present in my kids' lives. I'd missed a lot. I have three children. One's about to turn 22 in Texas. The other one is 18, graduating this year. And then I have a 13-year-old son who's about to be 14. And so the last 2.5 years, I thought were going to be very easy, easy breezy, right? Retire. I'm going to live the good life. No, that's not what happened.
It
There was
typically
some,
isn't.
yes, right? More challenges from losing, and I talk a lot about identity, and I lost all four identities in one fell swoop. And so I retired from the military. I lost the identity that I had built. I spent 28 years building my life around as an airman, as a chief, as a leader, a servant leader, too. I lost my identity as a wife. We went through a very terrible divorce. And during that time frame, I lost the identity of being a mom and my children. Divorce is terrible, right? And we go
Yes.
through a lot of things. And one parent can sometimes take the brunt of that. And so for me, all of the things that matter, especially the mom piece, all of the things that matter to me, uh, just kind of exploded. It was a really big hit. But again, thankful for this. And I know that sounds weird and wrong, but I wouldn't have built myself or rebuilt myself the way I am today if I hadn't had those experiences. And I really believe there's sacredness in suffering. We don't grow
There
when we're
is.
comfortable. So that's through that. And my son's journey through football, he's been playing since he was 5, brought me into the coaching world. And so I have always made myself available to help anybody who needed a voice, who wanted somebody to listen to them. But for me, standing on the sidelines and watching 5 to 10-year-old kids, sometimes 14, depending upon what age group we were in, have these high performance meltdowns because the coaches are yelling at them, the parents are yelling at them, the fans are yelling at them, the referees yelling at them, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know this. I know this struggle right here. They're yelling at you to be a leader, but nobody's ever taught you how to be a
Not you
leader.
how to.
Yes. And so that's how I entered into the coaching world. I just started pulling kids aside who I saw were struggling and just having a conversation with them and then helping them reset and get back in the game. And from that, it just grew into now where I am a leadership consultant for the local high school. I have athletes that I spend a lot of time with teaching them from this younger age, hey, this is what leadership looks like. This is how you lead yourself. And the first step of that is finding out what your why is. Why do you love football? And it can't be just because I love the game. So it's been very eye opening and rewarding. And so from that point, now I'm starting to, through social media and this amazing healing
You have
journey.
very
Thank
good
you,
posts,
Talia.
by the way.
This is the social media expert. This has been such a healing journey for me as I work through a lot of the stuff that I put into Pandora's box over the last, I don't know, 40 years. There are days where my post is late and I feel bad, but I'm also in tears and I'm crying and I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, this is the message that I'm trying to send without being completely off my rocker rails, just to kind of share the journey and everything that's going through, Amber's mind at the time.
The
It's
vulnerability that you share and the leadership lens that you put on it is just really incredible. I don't comment all the time, but I'm a surfer and
I love it.
yeah, I'm like, "But I see you," and I read them. So I was gonna say, I'm like, there's so much in that opening that I wanna unpack. We could start off with just like a small, and then I really wanna go into the career, and you mentioned being a woman in a male dominated field. Like, there's so many caveats that we can go down. But I think that the first one that really hit me as I was listening to your story was just that you ended up on your own when you were young, right? And that you did some couch surfing and stuff like that. And I think that if we're being real, you're probably not the only one, especially we're in the Gen X-ish era. Parenting was different when we were younger.
Yeah.
And I think that as I coach people, I still hear a lot of people having resentment to their parents and the way that they were grown up. And whether they're high performing or not, I don't think that a lot of people understand that that resentment is blocking them moving forward. And so, just from that, I would love you to maybe share like an aha or something that you learned that helped you like let it go and then what it gave you as a result.
So, just a little bit of context, right? My mom and dad got divorced when I was young. He was an abusive alcoholic. And there was a time period where my mom kidnapped us and took us, and then he found us and brought us back. So, I've been surfing, home surfing. My dad wasn't sure, from my perspective, what to do with me because I was a girl. He knew how to relate to the boys. I have two brothers. But I think I threw him for a loop because I was the girl. And so I went from female relative to female relative to female relative until I found my mom when I was 15. And I said, hey, I just want a place to lay my head. And so for that, comes a lot of, gosh, abandonment, rejection, anger, grief, loneliness, what I wish I could have that I didn't have, that I saw my friends have, right? I mean, there's so
A
much in
lot.
this
Yeah.
this journey here. And, I needed help unpacking all of this. And I tried the traditional therapist and the counseling, and those things didn't quite pan out the way that I had hoped. It was just very clinical for me. And I just wanted to go deeper and I really wanted to understand. And it was through some friends that do a different type of coaching that helped me be able to start to dip my toe into that mess. It was just a hot mess.
Yeah, I had to go
And
clean up mine too.
so again, as you open on, and I refer to it as Pandora's box, we have to do these, we compartmentalize. And then in the military, we are
Yes.
really taught to compartmentalize. So everything goes into that box. And so here I am just, pulling things out going, oh, what is this that happened?
Oh
And for
my
me,
god, here's another one.
yeah. And it happens wherever, Lowe's, and somebody texts you and
Close.
next thing you know, you're sitting on the sofa, the patio furniture crying because she just pulled a memory out for you. And that's no kidding, that happened. So for me, it was being able to be coached in a manner that helped me pull myself out of my pain to be more of an observer and say, okay, listen, like, yes, all of these things happened not to me, but for me. Right. And
Love
I
that. I
think
just got
that
the goosebumps. That's really important to share.
it really is. And when you're able to come to that aha moment, that's that aha moment for me. I was like, these things didn't happen to me. They happened for me. And if they didn't happen, no matter how terrible they were, and I'm not trying to minimize anybody's pain or my own, but if we just take that intentional deep dive inside and say, okay, what is the goodness that came out of this? What came here from this situation? I mean, like now I am the calm in the chaos, right? The world could be burning down around me and I know what to do. I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm collected, and I know how to get us where we need to go. If I hadn't been through some of the situations and scenarios in my life, I don't think that I would be in that situation now. I wouldn't be prepared for that. If I hadn't rebuilt myself so many times as a youngster and a young woman, I don't think that at the age of, 47, when I lost everything, I would be able to rebuild myself. And so that moment, that aha moment, is being able to step back and say, what is happening for me, not what is happening to me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And, I think that it's funny. Recently, I've had a couple conversations around dark nights of the soul and them lasting a year or 2 or 3 years before the final dawn breaks and stuff like that. But on the other side of it, when you face it and you go into these seasons that are unexpected and you don't know what the hell to do, but then like you said, you've got all these learnings and at 47, honestly, like I'm coming out of a dark night of the soul too, and I wasn't expecting to go through it. I had no idea. I went through one 10 years ago and I was hoping that was going to be my last
Right?
one.
No, we need to do this again. Okay.
Really? Really? I
Come
don't want
on,
to.
man.
But each time I come out the other side, I am so much more aware of life and its preciousness and our capabilities and the potentials. And it's weird that on the other side, there's an expansion waiting for you.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've witnessed the same thing, but that's what I've witnessed through my various seasons of chaos.
No, I have. And, the universe, the source, God, whatever resonates with you, has a funny way. As soon as you get comfortable and you're like, I feel like I have my shit together, bam, we're going to bring this situation or this scenario to you to see if you really do have it together or if we still need to shed some light on some places that you need to work on. So, yeah, it's never ending spiral of learning and healing. And I don't think that we're ever 100% healed.
I
Like,
don't think so either.
I think that it just, those wounds that we have or experiences that we went through, I think there's layers and each layer, like leveling up in a video game, right? I got through the first level. I rock. Oh, this one's going to be harder. Oh, this one's going to be harder. But it has all the same premise underneath it of whatever you have that's going on shadow wise or that you need to shine a light on within you. So it's definitely a journey.
That it is, and I love that you tie your work to identity, and I wanna go back to your career in the Air Force. So, differently, I've spent a 22-year sales career in technology, so A, being a saleswoman instead of a salesman, and 2, being in technology has left me in the minority group as well, and I am very thankful for my own experience because it taught me resilience, tenacity, not to take things personally. I have a pretty tough skin, and there's so many lessons and takeaways that I've gotten from my career, but I'd be really interested to hear, maybe some of your experiences or some of your learnings. Like, what did being in that environment make aware for you or make possible too?
Primarily, yeah. So aware for me would be using my voice, not just I can use my voice for others all day long. I will fall on that sword for you all the time. When it comes to me, I will suffer in silence 100%. And so it was a long journey throughout, but towards the end of probably the last 10 years of my career, I started speaking up for me and saying, hey, no, you don't get to talk to me like that. Hey, that's not acceptable. Hey, let's shift gears here and talk about what just happened. So it provided me the opportunity to find my voice again for me after not having it for so long. And again, my upbringing and throughout my life and not having that ability to say what I needed to say. So that's probably the biggest one is helping me find my own voice for me. Again, amazing at helping other people. Me? No. It also taught me boundaries. So
I was just
again,
gonna say I'm
servant,
listening to you.
yeah.
That sounds a lot like boundary work in
Yeah,
action.
it does. And when I say boundaries, I mean, I would martyr myself. I will sacrifice myself. I will sacrifice, at point in times in my career, I would sacrifice my priorities so they would shift. And so it taught me, hey, these are my priorities. These are my boundaries and I need to enforce them. And it looks like I would push myself so hard because I didn't want to be the weak female. I didn't, I didn't want to be, oh, see, I told you she's a girl. So I would push my body to the max. I'd land myself in the hospital with a kidney infection and I still wouldn't slow down. And so I've had 15 surgeries, minor heart
Holy
surgery, a hip
shit.
replacement, torn bicep, shoulder, knees, feet.
Damn.
So I had no boundary with this. So if you were on my team and you were like, hey, go pick that up, and it was 150 pounds, I'd be like, okay, I'll go
Fuck,
pick
I'm
it
gonna
up.
do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not going to be that weak link in the chainmail, right? Like, I'm not going to do that. And so I sacrificed my body in order to be able to do that. So I think that was a big one when I, as I got older, going, okay, my body is amazing, right? It has gotten me through. And if we sit there and we think about what our bodies do for us daily, what we ask our bodies to do for us, it is incredible. We
You just gave me
are
the
the
goosebumps again.
yeah, that's the human body. I mean, the design, and yes, I mean, if you just for a second pause and think about everything you've asked your body to do, and it has endlessly done it for you until it gets to a
One
point
day
where,
it can't.
it can't, because you're not listening though. And that was my lesson too, is like, hey, I wasn't listening to my body through all those years. So for the last 3 years, I have just spent rebuilding my body. And I'm like, all right, this is all about you and reconnecting with you and helping you recover from everything I put you through from the time I was little to when I retired from the Air Force. So, yeah, that's just two of the
Beautiful.
things.
That's a beautiful message though, because if you think about it, kind of like you were saying, listeners, think about what your body has been, what you've put your body through. And, I teach a lot too. I call it disharmony in the bodies because when we don't listen to our body's red flags, we push past them and then it impacts our physical body, emotional body, spiritual body, mental body, like everything gets impacted. And if you could just like there is something to pushing yourself to a certain degree because then you figure out what you're made of. But then there's that extra point, which is like you're talking about, like
Yeah.
I do, which is like, it's fine. I'm just going to go further. And then we start to have those breakdowns. So I think it's a,
It's a very fine line between pushing yourself enough to grow and be uncomfortable to pushing yourself to where you're broken and now you broke yourself and now you have to spend however many weeks or months recovering from that.
yeah. And that
So
shit sucks. Like I
it
pushed
does.
myself into autoimmune disease and it took me 2 years to recover. And I was so, at the height of it, I was so, so sick. Like I had pain inside my bones just existing was god awful. And my hair was falling out in circular, like I had circular alopecia. And I'm just like, that whole thing could have been avoided if I had paid attention enough to my body's stress signals. And I just was like, nope, we're going to keep going.
And a big part of that too, right, is the emotional and mental piece. And so when we hold on to this stuff and, whatever it is that we're working through, if we just continue to suppress it and put it in Pandora's box, and this is what I found as I came upon my retirement, and I'm like, my whole world is about to change. And it was almost like this box took on a life of its own. And it's like cracking. And I'm extra edgy and I'm extra upset and I don't have any patience with, things that I would normally would not bother me. And I had to sit there and be like, okay, what is going on? Like, what is going on inside of me right now? And that box that I had stuffed everything in over the last 40 some odd years took a life of its own and was threatening to break open and frag everyone around me that I love. And that was a big wake up call for me. And it was manifesting in my body too, right? Migraines after migraine,
Yes.
the issue with my hips, my back. I was getting my nerves burned off in my back every year. I mean, I was just like, I was overweight. I was unhappy. I mean, everything just feeds into it. And so if we're in this position, like being able to sit down and get logical about it and say, all right, I love whiteboards. So I'm a whiteboard nerd. And anytime that I have something
I'm right
going
over
on,
there.
I write it up on my whiteboard and I'm like, I feel upset today. Why? Right? Like, what was it? I ask myself that question, why, 5 times. And it's funny because it used to irritate my airmen and it used to irritate the folks that I worked with because they're like, why do you always ask why 5 times? And I said, because that's what it takes to get to the root. Like, I need to understand what's underneath everything. So if I'm angry, why am I angry? Well, I'm angry because I felt disappointment. Well, why did I feel disappointment? Well, I felt disappointment because I didn't live up to somebody's expectations. Well, why did I have those expectations in the first place, right? And so we start digging down, and this is something you can do yourself, Granted, you got to be honest with yourself. We got to be able to look in the mirror, but it's a great exercise for me to work through whatever it is that I have that's surfaced in that moment.
Yeah, I love that. Why 5 times? You hear that, guys? Ask yourself why 5 times. That's awesome. I do ask why, but I don't think I've done the 5 times path, so I'm gonna take that as a little experiment and give it a whirl.
Good.
All right. So, but I do want to loop back around to one of your main focuses in your coaching is identity. And you had mentioned in the pre interview that, one of your themes in programs is reset and rise, and that it's around identity. So, identity, whoo, God, that's such important work to do because when we identify with something, we keep ourselves in a bucket. And that bucket sometimes when it's supporting us in a good way, it feels safe and things like that. But then when we can no longer identify with that, then we feel lost, out of control, and potentially could go into spirals. So I'm really curious I think it's dope that you focus on identity, but I want to kind of hear your perspective on your work and why you like it and what you do and all that jazz.
So identity is such a big thing. And I had to go through it deeply, right? Before I always talked about it. Like, who are you if you're not a mom? Who are you if you're not a chief or an airman? Who are you if you're not a CEO? Who are you if you're not an athlete, right? Like, what makes up you? And I found I had a hard time answering that and articulating for myself. And then I was like, that's weird. I thought I knew myself pretty well. It's like I do a lot of self reflection and I do a lot of self improvement and I read a lot and listen to podcasts. So, so when I couldn't answer those questions for myself, I was like, what is that? So, as I started just kind of asking people around me in my circle, like, well, who are you if you're not a mom? Which was the biggest one. And man, I mean, the response was just like, I don't know. And then they're walking away going, who am I? And I didn't mean to, but I inadvertently cracked something open and then I never followed through or never walked with them or, I would check on them, but they'd be like, you really me up with that question. Okay. So as I just started walking through the military and being a leader, like being a servant leader was super important to me. And I loved taking care of my people, even if I wasn't the leader for them. Right. But having that conversation and saying, well, who are you if you're not that rank? Or who are you if you're not the best bomb builder in the bomb dump? Like, what's underneath all of this? And I just became extremely curious about it within myself and within others. And then it just kind of cracked open from there. And I think it's so
Goosebumps
important.
third time.
Yes, but I think it's so important that we teach this work. Did you learn any of this work before you
No,
were,
I had to
punched in
teach
the face
myself.
by the universe?
No,
Yeah.
I had to teach myself when I went through like a dark night of the soul in my phase. I was like, I had to ask myself every damn question that ever existed pretty much just to like know who I was going to be, who I wanted to be. Like, you go through one of these experiences and you're like, I'm not this person and I don't want to be this person. I know what I don't want, but what do I want? Who am I?
Yes.
And so that discovery is pretty thrilling, but also scary.
So scary. Oh, yeah. Nothing like jumping into the unknown, right? And
Yeah.
uncertainty. Yeah. Like, all right, I don't know where I'm going, but we're going to do this. So, but this work, I think that the impact we can have on each other as humans, right? Just by simply helping each other figure out, like, hey, who are you without all of these things that you've built around you? It's like I built this little home and then I built a moat and then I built another wall. And like, you can't get in to see the real me because I built
Yeah.
all these things around me, these identities that I, through my personal experiences, built up. Who are you when all of that is taken away? Like, what is at the core of you? And I think it's so important for us to be able to learn that about ourselves, and we don't teach it. So, okay, let's do it.
You're like,
I'm
"So
gonna
I'm
start.
out there and I'm
I'm
getting
gonna
in."
try. It just so happened to organically develop through young athletes and being able to, hey, why on the sidelines, being able to say, okay, breathe, get your central nervous system under control. Why are you upset? And the minute they can recognize the real reason why they're upset, and it typically for young athletes has to do, they don't feel good enough. Their performance, everything, their identities are tied to performance. As soon as we can unlock that or bring awareness to that, man, they can go back out on the field and make these amazing game changing plays. And I love that for them because that's a life skill that they now have in their toolbox for the rest of their life.
Goosebumps number 4.
Way.
No, that's awesome. And it kind of leads me into our last question because I just looked up and I realized we're at 30 minutes already. So it's maybe not as much of a question as it is a request for a statement, but I always like to end the podcast with an empowering message for the listeners. So, what would you like to say to them?
Well, primarily, you are not alone. Whatever it is that you're going through, you are not alone. And even if you may not have a lot of humans around you, I would encourage you to go inwards because, again, if you don't have a lot of humans around you, I look at myself and I'm like, there's 48 versions of me that's with me right now. Right now, all of that love, experience, support, that is all within me for me. So you're never alone. And it's a choice. It's always a choice. And I really hope that you choose to not be alone.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. Goosebumps number 5. They're even on my face. Way to go. Got me. You got me good. You got me good. All right, let's go ahead and share how the listeners can stay in contact with you.
Okay, so my email is amber@amberhoughton.com. You can always reach out to me on Facebook, amber.lee.houghton. That's Leigh. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm also for the athletic community on X at coach_A Houghton. And you can find me there as well. We're still working on the website. I'm still into my entrepreneur journey. This is my first almost 9 months doing this. So I'm excited for the future. And an email, reach out to Becca. She knows she's got my cell phone. She's got a way to contact me as well, but I'm always here.
That's awesome. And thank you for being a guest. I love you as a friend, but getting to know you better professionally and your background was just such an honor. So thank you for sharing that with me and all the listeners.